that's just one aspect of it. The other aspect is the left, while we were asleep, took the schools. They took Hollywood, and we have to wake up and realize, hey, man, we have to take a piece of that back.
Gotcha. If money wasn't an object from you, if you kind of had to push aside everything, you had a sort of a blank slate to do what you wanted to do, all the resources at your disposal, what would you do? Do you have either a dream project or a sort of a fantasy of what you could do 24/7?
Teach. I think. Well, I would like to teach eventually. It would be a strange class. Well, no, it wouldn't. I was going to say I would only have like-minded people in that class. But fact is, how are you going to convince young people of your approach or your way of thinking if you don't include them? But money is obviously important. If I had money, I'd have a studio. I've got equipment here that I can't even use because I simply don't have room for it. If I had a studio here in LA, I'd have the silk screens going. I'd have this proper space for this printer. I'd have cutting tables. I would have computer stations, and I would have interns and people who are of like mind, banging stuff out. It'd almost be a school environment. I've always believed that money isn't the answer. You should have it in you to push your idea as far as you can until the only thing left is money. Mm-hmm. It's like the only thing holding me back is money, and that's the case right now. But the reason being, I've worked at startups long enough to know that sometimes a large inflow of money is more a death kiss than a positive thing, because it just makes people lazy. You start having $30,000 sushi parties at Miyagi's for the company, and you just squander it away, and then the next thing you're striving for is the next round of funding. So I'm not turning that away. I just know that if it were to ever happen, that I wouldn't be dumb enough to just squander it.
Yeah.
So as far as big projects, of course, nothing makes a big project possible than being able to fly out someplace, rent a car, rent an apartment to sleep in, the equipment that you need, the help that you need. All that stuff costs money.
Gotcha. Looking ahead to the sort of the age of Trump, as they're calling it now, I think we've seen a lot of Hollywood reaction to him. We've seen your initial reaction. I know you were very reluctant about Trump, but the Rogue One poster, which I thought was great. Do you have sort of specific plans, or is it kind of play it by ear, or you want to kind of tweak Hollywood's reactions? For what? How do you think about you'll approach this?
Well, I think I've been doing all right so far. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that I've knocked it out of the park the way that I have recently. I would say a lot of it has to do with, believe it or not, there are people in Hollywood that want to see these messages out there, and they do help. And it's nice to have them there, because without them, I probably wouldn't have much of a voice. And it's going to be interesting. Just when you thought that things were going to calm down a little bit after the election, it's just insane. And I expect, Hollywood lost its mind. It's like they don't mind stepping out now and going, fuck you, half of America, and it's like, wait a minute, we made you famous, we made you rich. It's like, what do you mean, fuck us? But they seem to think that they can get away with it. So Hollywood just dropped its pants. All of the political artists, they're already leftists, so that's not going to be much of a surprise. Mm. And for me, it's funny, this other group of guys, they're like, oh, well, street art's done now, Trump won, not much more to do. It's like, no, I think you're wrong, man. I think the army, or the enemy is amassing their forces, and they're about to try and trounce us. And even if they know they're going to lose, because I think we're probably going to do all right in the next election, they're going to come all guns blazing, and someone's got to be there to fire back.
Gotcha. Before I let you go, Sabo, one of the things I like to do with different interview guests is ask them what they're watching or listening to or even reading right now. Something kind of a bit not the typical, of course, Game of Thrones or the new show on Netflix. Anything that you've been kind of consuming as a pop culture guy that you'd like to share?
Black Mirror is good, but that is a Netflix. I love the idea of world building. You had mentioned Game of Thrones and such. It's the thing I like about some of these stories, and I'm seeing a lot of it these days. It's like they're not these 30-second mouthfuls of entertainment. Someone actually sat down and said, "Okay, how are we going to unroll this in 5, 6, 7 seasons?" And they build these incredible worlds. And not only that, but the thing I've also been enjoying recently is a lot of young people are trying new podcasts, much the way you're doing, and they're conservatives. They're some of them are going to rise to the top, some of them won't. But it's like it's comforting to see people out there realizing the importance of what we have to say, and they realize I'm not the best looking guy in the world. I don't have the best voice in the world, but damn it, someone's got to do it. And Crowder and Mark Dice and Milo Yiannopoulos and all of these guys, and it's very interesting to see. What we're looking at is an entirely new generation of reporters, and it's nice to be on the ground level with that.
Gotcha. Well, again, Sabo, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. And I kind of discovered your work, I guess, the Ted Cruz gangsta picture, and I've been checking you out ever since. And we appreciate it. We'll get a whole bunch of information on the show notes about you and your work, where people can find you. And again, Wes, quickly, you want to share your Twitter account or anything else sort of social media-wise you want to spread?
My main